Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about functions versus methods in Python. And we do have network automation examples that's where we use functions and methods. Okay, so what is a function? A function is defined using DEF. It is independent and not tied to any object, unlike method, which is tied to a object. You pass data to it and get back a result. Functions are useful for reusable tasks. Okay, so let me show you an example of a user-defined functions because we have a user-defined function and we have a built-in function. So let's talk about a user-defined function. Okay, so I'm just importing the class ConnectHandler from Netmiko. And yes, this is a user-defined function. And the name of the user-defined function is connect underscore and underscore run underscore function. So you can call this whatever you want. Just don't use the built-in names that built-in functions are using. Okay, so yeah, so this is a function, like I said, and we are passing in all these parameters. And this here, by the way, is called a keyword parameter or default parameter, if I'm not mistaken. And here, we do have a dictionary called device. And in this line, we are calling the ConnectHandler class and passing in the device dictionary and storing that object into a variable called con. And from the con object, we call the send underscore command method and pass the command, the variable, and store the result of this expression into a variable called output. And we say return output, meaning when we call this function, we should get back the output of the command, which is, I think it's a show version command. Yes, it's a show version. So that's an example of a user-defined function. Okay, so let's talk about a built-in function. So the built-in function that I'm showing you in this video is called len. So let me actually just go into the Python interpreter. I think it's easier here. So this is a list called device underscore IPs. So here we are just passing in the device or the list. Don't have to. So we can do it that way. And we see the number of the devices or IPs, and it's 3. Okay, so that's an example of a built-in function. Let's talk about methods. So what is a method? A method is similar to a function, but it is defined inside a class. It is tied to an object, like I mentioned earlier, an instance of a class. Methods can access and modify the object's data via self. Okay, so this is an example of a class called network device, and we do have the gender init method, and we are passing all these parameters, and we have the attributes. And here, this is what I want to emphasize. This is a user-defined method, as we can see here. So the name of the user-defined method is called connect underscore and underscore run. So you can notice that it's very similar to the function above, except that this one is inside a class called, in this case, network device. Okay, and I want to show you an example of a built-in method. So we have a list called sample underscore output, and of course we can verify that by saying sample underscore output. I'd say I'm wrong. It's a string. So it's a string, and here we are going to use a built-in method called split. So let's do that. So that's the syntax. So we call the string method called split to basically split the string into, I believe, lists. Yeah, and we can verify that as well by typing, yeah, it's a list. So now we can access the lists by using this syntax. That's the IP address. This is the interface name. That's the IP address. And of course, we have this. Yeah, it works. Okay, so that's an example of a built-in method. In this case, we used the string method called split. The next thing that I want to show is using or calling the user-defined functions and methods. Okay, so let me actually comment this out and comment this out so it won't show in the output or interfere with what we are going to do here. So as the comment says here, this line is calling a user-defined function called this. And let me go ahead and comment this out as well. So let's run the... So hopefully we get the output of the command show version, because that's what we are doing here. We are passing in this parameters and we are passing in the command version, show version. Yeah, we get the output of the command show version. So our script worked. So that's how you call a user-defined function. And let me uncomment these lines. So here we are creating an object and calling a user-defined method. So this is the object that we are creating. And we pass that object into a variable called device1. And on the device1, we call the connect _and_run method and pass in the show version command. So let me go ahead and run this. Run the script. And I can also comment this out. Yeah, so we only have the import statement, the class, and the methods, and the calling of the methods. Yeah, the user-defined method. So again, yeah, this is what we expect, because in the method, we are just returning the output of the show version command. So that's why we get the show version command output. All right, so that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.